So, what is dragon sickness? Hey y'all, I'm Sir Pinkbeard, and recently I posted a video talking about a disease in my D&D world called dragon sickness, and I got a response greater than I ever could have imagined. So let's talk about it and really dive in depth into what dragon sickness is, as well as address some of your specific scenarios that you've been asking about in the comments on those shorts. So what is dragon sickness? Dragon sickness is a disease that occurs if you have hoarded 10,000 things. They have to be kind of within the same theme or the same item, but you need 10,000 of them, and then you have to maintain them for 50 years, at which point the process of draconification begins. Now that process takes about 50 years to complete, and when it's complete, you will look like a dragon whose appearance matches that of their hoard. So if you hoarded Beanie Babies, your appearance as a dragon would be soft and velvety. If you hoarded pairs of shoes, you might have leather scales and spikes that look like stiletto heels. You get the idea. Now, I said this is a disease, but really it's a curse. It is a curse from being greedy and hoarding 10,000 things as obsessively as a dragon without being a dragon. So what are the effects of this curse? Well, the first part of the curse is that you become a dragon, or rather a being that I call a Dragonling, but whatever you want to call it. A fake scale, a wannabe, however you want to describe them, they are dragons, but they're not dragons. And real dragons do not like these guys because they are pretenders. We'll talk about that more in a second. Now, the other half of this curse is that you always become an evil dragon. There are no good Dragonlings because this is a curse for being as greedy and obsessive as a dragon. Now, Pinkbeard, what if I have a shirt that has 10,000 threads and I love this shirt? Well, then you have a single shirt. You are not obsessed over the threads, you are obsessed over the shirt, and you only have one, and so you will never be cursed with dragon sickness because you only have a single shirt. The curse only applies to full items, not the components that make up those items. Now, if you've been cursed with dragon sickness and you become a Dragonling and you don't want to be evil aligned any longer, you can actually alleviate the evil part of the curse and become a neutral dragon if you can allow people access to your hoard. Now, that's not something that's going to be easy. Obviously, this is a disease from being greedy and hoarding these items to yourself. But if you can find the strength to give people access, then you will become neutral. So for example, I have a dragon known as Thorn J. Arkin. He is a book dragon. He's got leathery scales. His wings look like paper. It has ink writing on it. It's very cool to me, but he is not an evil dragon because he allows people into his hoard of 15,000 books, and they can read and peruse freely. Now, they may not take the books from his library, but they can access them, and that simple act of allowing others to use what you have hoarded is enough to alleviate that evil and move you from evil aligned to neutrally aligned. And moving from an evil alignment to a neutral alignment is very important for these Dragonlings because the real dragons in my world do not like these guys. The evil dragons, the chromatic dragons, do not like the Dragonlings because they view them as competition. There's more things to be hoarded. The evil chromatic dragons want more things in their hoard, and these Dragonlings are already hoarding their own things, and so they hunt them down religiously, trying to take whatever it is that they have hoarded. The good dragons, the metallic dragons, do not like these guys either because more evil dragons in the world is not a recipe for a good life. And so they don't like these guys and hunt them down for the reason of just keeping the peace in civilization. And the crystalline dragons kind of don't care. If the Dragonling can move from evil to neutral, the crystalline dragons and most of the metallic dragons will just leave them alone. The evil dragons will still hunt them down, though. That is a non-negotiable. So when a new Dragonling is being created, they are facing all kinds of threats from the existing real dragons within the world. Now, Thorn J. Arkin, the book dragon, has an older brother known as Oxford B. Arkin, and he is the library dragon. He owns 10,000 libraries, not books, libraries. He actually doesn't care about the contents of each library, he just cares about the building and the idea that it maintains. So he maintains 10,000 libraries. Now, how did that all get started? Well, he started his life out as an elf, and he fell in love with the concept of a library where you can go and borrow something that someone else had created or donated, use it for a while or learn from it, and then return the item. And upon falling in love with that idea, he sought out to not only find as many libraries and ancient sections of knowledge that he could, but he also started out founding them throughout one of the continents in my world. After he had founded a library in every major city or town, he then went across the sea into the ancient frontier lands and found more ancient tomes of knowledge and libraries of spellcraft and all of these other things, and he put his name on all of them. And then he figured out dimensional magic so that he could teleport between them and maintain them. And after maintaining those libraries and keeping them all in working order and ensuring that people were able to access those libraries, that they were truly functioning as a library, he realized that he had started to look like a library. And so his dragon form now is just giant marble scales. He has wings of stained glass. His eyes are like big balls of polished marble. He is, for all intents and purposes, the buildings which he created and maintained. Now, he is a neutrally aligned dragon because at any point in a person's life, they can go into the depths of any one of the libraries that he owns, which are pretty much all of them in my D&D world, and they can open up a door and ask a single question from Oxford. Oxford, having lived 6,000 years and having acquired and perused many thousands of libraries, will be able to answer the question most times. And so the researchers will be able to get an accurate answer to any question once in their life. After that, he has to trade. So you have to provide new knowledge in order to get new knowledge. So how much is known about dragon sickness in the world? Well, this is a closely guarded, open secret. It is a secret to the sense that most people will live their entire lives not knowing about it. Those who know about it, most of those will never experience the transformation in themselves because it takes a lot to be that greedy, and so it's very difficult to become that. This is only for those whose greed consumes them. So in my world currently, Oxford is probably one of the only people who have figured out how it works. The others are the gods, and they're not handing out that information very easily or quickly at all. Now that we understand how dragon sickness works, and we've had a couple of examples, let's address some of your specific scenarios. So what if you have 10,000 gold coins? If you hold on to those exact gold coins, will you become a Dragonling? No. Probably not. If you hold on to 10,000 coins and you obsess over them, polish them every day, sleep on top of them, just generally cannot imagine being away from those 10,000 coins, and you have to look at them all the time and like you're obsessed with them, then maybe. But if you spend a single one of those gold coins, or if a single bit of rust or tarnish affects one of those coins and you don't maintain a pristine condition, no, you will not become a gold coin dragon. If Oxford owns 10,000 libraries and they're spread out across a continent, how is that a hoard? Well, it's a hoard in the sense that he owns them, and you can try to pry them from him from your cold dead hands because you will not get any of his libraries. You will not destroy them. You will not attack them. You may try, but you should not. If you think a hoard has to be on the dragon's person or singularly in a dragon's lair, you need to expand your definition of a hoard a bit more. Oxford cares so much and is so obsessed with his concept of library that if a library is not being used enough because civilization has moved on from an area, he will move that library to another location so that it can continue to function as a library for some other civilization in some other part of the world. Now, if I had 10,000 bees, if I was a beekeeper, would I eventually become a bee dragon? And to that I say, if you can keep 10,000 of the exact same bee alive, then yes. But it has to be that bee. If the bee dies and is replaced with a newer, younger bee, you will not become a bee dragon. However, if you maintained 10,000 bee hives and those bees just came in and out and you kept the hives up and running and constantly producing, yes, you would become a beehive dragon. The problem is just that you have to hoard the thing, and it has to be the exact same thing for 50 years. So, try to extend out a bee's life for 50 years. If you can do that, you can become a bee dragon. But if you could do that, you could become a lot of other things in D&D. So what if I was obsessed with sand and I collected a bunch of sand in a bucket? Does that count as one item or two items? That counts as one bucket of sand, and you would obsess over that one bucket. If you added another bucket of sand, your hoard would expand. Yeah, but what if I cared about the sand itself? Well, if that's the case, you're probably going to be on a beach. But if you're caring and obsessing about the sand, it's probably going to be very difficult to even get to that level of obsession, because sand comes and goes with the tides. If anyone walks on your beach, the sand will leave your hoard, and you cannot become a dragon without obsessively defending your hoard. So eventually you'd have a whole beach, and you would have to essentially fight the tide and any people who wanted to step onto your beach in order to become one. So it's unlikely that you would become a sand dragon over time. Yeah, that's just not very likely. Now, could a warlord become a sword dragon if they had an armory of 10,000 swords? Again, yes, they absolutely could, as long as they were obsessing about those weapons and not lending it out to their people. So if they had an army, they would need a separate armory that was just 10,000 swords or weapons for themselves, and then the armory for their entire warband. So yeah, unlikely, but totally possible. So that should be more than enough information for you guys to take this idea and run with it. Feel free, use it in any content that you want. Just, you know, give a shout out in some way that lets me know that if I ever came across your content, hey, I got it from Pinkbeard. I don't need actual attribution credit or anything like that, but yeah, run with it. Have fun. More dragons are always better. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.